Are they trying to say forge, but they misspelled it?
Oh, dude, I hadn't thought about that. So this game is called Tales of the Shire, and we're going to pause it in certain places. Yell out if you want me to pause it, Michael, but here we go.
There are many tales of Middle-earth. Tales of courage and...
When I first saw this, by the way, the visuals, I was like, oh, that's pretty. What is there's flat, like, so I posted on Twitter, like, 2003, 2003 called and wants their graphics back. Because it really looks like, I don't know, there's a game, there's like a black and white, I think it was called, a God game, like where you can control a bunch of things. And this is what it looks like. It's so flat, the animation, it's so bland. And I was kind of surprised at how bad it was.
Well, yeah, and I think the people that do this, I don't think they think it's bad. I think they're making an artistic decision, and they think it has this sort of...
Okay, but
yeah,
watch. There is bad stuff in here. Here we go.
I know.
Brave deeds in dark.
That's bad.
Yes.
The animation, there's no movement. Like there's no, like it's almost like he's walking in water and there's no splashing. There's nothing going on.
Right.
It's very cell animated looking, and I find it a little off-putting.
Yeah, there's no interaction between the ground and his foot, which is what you would expect.
Which, in this day and age, come on, can we get just a little bit?
But that is not our story. For this is one of new beginnings.
And this was like, oh, it's Sim Hobbit.
That's right. That's exactly right.
It's Sim Hobbit because it's a beginning, right? We get to start. There you go, at the beginning. I guess that's by one. Maybe? Bridge? I don't know who Private Division is, but they're presenting this.
They're very private. You're never going to know.
They're very divisive, too, apparently. That was surprising. What a workshop on here.
Yeah, I wonder how they get the tag for that.
Here's my thought. Somebody paid them a lot of money to get their names on it and to have like about 4 to 6 hours of consultation on it, and that's about it. They're like, okay, so in this part, can you show us the map that you made of the Shire, and we're going to kind of copy that, and that's about it. I wouldn't be surprised if, I don't know. It just doesn't feel like something that Weta would want to put out. It's also pastoral. So there's a guy fishing. Okay. Or girl? Guy, girl. What do you think, Michael? In this day and age, it doesn't matter.
Yes, it does.
Sorry.
It still matters. It's a girl, definitely. So what's fascinating to me is the game, the Lord of the Rings game that I reference with some frequency that myself and my family plays, which is Lord of the Rings Online. Old game, but still well done from a lore perspective. This kind of thing was like a side game. There's like fishing side games inside. Like if you want to, you can hang out and do a side game of fishing, and you can collect all these different fish from different rivers and the Shire and even other places. And there's these social events that happen, festival events happen, and so this whole game feels like just a more two-dimensional festival aspect, and the festival side of Lord of the Rings Online is like a 3%, 4% of what you could do in the game, and so it's interesting that they thought this was worth an entire game.
And it's interesting that the very first thing that they tell you about it is the phrase "forage friendships." Forage.
I mean, are they trying to say forge, but they misspelled it?
Oh, dude, I hadn't thought about that. You forge friend. I bet you're right. I bet this is a misspelling. It's not like you're like digging in that would be really undergrowth sad for friendships.
It would be really sad if
it's gotta be forge.
Yeah, I bet. I could just feel like that's the word. I mean, maybe someone was trying to be overly clever, and it's like, we're going to, instead of foraging, we're going to forage, because everything's pastoral and everything is agricultural, and so but you don't forage friendships. That's not what happens.
I think they probably got it wrong. Let's not give them the credit that they deserve, that they're actually trying to do something interesting with the word, because the word never means what they think it means there.
Well, and also, let's be clear, you never forage anything. You forage for something.
You're right.
So
it's got to be forge friendships.
That word requires the preposition for after it. Forage for something, for the direct object of that action. And so foraging friendships is just I mean, look, forage. I know this is, I'm a pedantic man because I've taught literature and I'm a medieval historian. So it's something that I care about, and probably a lot of people don't, especially in the age, especially Gen Zers. But words do mean something, and Tolkien was a philologist, and he would have probably had a cringe at this.
This is a total mistake. This is a typo. I am 100% certain of this, because the very next image they show us right here, it's two people walking together down a path. He's not like looking in the undergrowth for all the hobbit women,
digging through the undergrowth and finding someone and pulling them out. Look,
right? Look, here's my friendship. I foraged for. Let's mix it with the grilled onions. No, forage friendships. Okay, let's see where they go from foraging foraging friendship. Well, maybe she's foraging there. Look, she's digging right next to
she's foraging something. Is she be friends with the moss on the rock? Is that what's going on? Like,
it looks like, what is that? I don't know what that is. Okay, don't stop. All right. It's just really a lot of walking. It doesn't really tell me anything what you're doing in this game either. So maybe there's something fun in there. But at least games I
have to say, I'm really glad to see diversity has come.
Oh my gosh, you're right. There it is. Well, they are taking their cues from the Rings of Power with these hobbits. I just hope we get to see them leave some by the side of the road to die, just like the Harfoots. That would be fun. If you could, maybe you have a path, right? You choose the good hobbit or the bad hobbit. Good hobbit, bad Harfoot,
and maybe the bad hobbit. You're kind of like you're a wolf in sheep's clothing, and you lock people in your pantry until they die.
Oh, that'd be cool. Right, or you go on a walk with them, and you slightly injure them, and you're like, sorry, you got to leave you on the side of the road. I'm walking home by yourself.
It has a trip button. Trip them and they fall. Leave to die. Continue on path.
All right. Cutting food. It's so cool. There you go. We can decorate our home. Wonderful. It's so beautiful. Okay. Look at all those different modern looks that we can put into there. You can have different bedding.
Gardens.
You can have garden beds, yep. Different seasons. Apples, I guess. Explore Bywater. So is it Hobbiton or Bywater? Maybe you're in Bywater.
You're in Bywater. It's not.
Are you?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So you're definitely not in Hobbiton.
There was a Gandalf moment.
Of the Shire.
These are our tales of the Shire. Welcome home, Hobbit. Here are your tales.
Hobbits really are amazing creatures.
That's not a quote from the book, though. Is it? I always think that is.
Hobbits really are amazing creatures. I feel
something like that is the book.
Yeah.
Enough to say that.
Yeah, well, we can figure that out by just typing in the search. But
it says it's coming 2024, I guess, to the Nintendo Switch, maybe more. But it's just a Lord of the Rings game, and I was thoroughly underwhelmed.
Right. So go ahead.
The Gollum game looked a little bit better actually on their first release. I was like, it doesn't look half bad. I was a little more interested in that. But this year, I've never been a huge fan of like sim type games either. Animal Crossing, The Sims.
Well, that's just it. I don't think this was made for you. And it wasn't made for me either. But here's what I do find fascinating as you brought up the Gollum game. This feels like just the other extreme. You know how you can go to one extreme and then the pendulum always swings back to the extreme. The Gollum is everything ugly and evil about Lord of the Rings, and you play a creature that can do nothing but evil. That's just varieties of evil. Some of them less, some of them more. In the Gollum game, it was terrible. Now it swings back, and now we have a game that's focused solely on. Let's face it. The Shire was one of the look of the Shire was one of the great hooks from the movies, where and it's the thing people still quote about the setup in the Hobbiton setup in New Zealand, and where there's something about the Shire culture which is deeply attractive. It was to Tolkien when he wrote it, it is a lot of people. And insert joke about the woman that asked about where your Shire is from all of our audio
from all our interviews,
audio interviews that we've done podcasts on from 20 something years ago. But anyway, I just feel like they've taken and focused on the entire other extreme. There probably are people who find this artistic. Even they don't mind the fact that it's not technically impressive. They just like sim games. There are clearly there's a whole audience for sim games.
Yeah,
and this just feels like a sim game, a harmless sim game with little conflict, where it's just all about eating and gardening and socializing and growing your little hobbit home.
And I have a feeling we're going to be seeing more of this, because once the Embracer Group bought the rights to all this Lord of the Rings stuff that Lord of the Rings Middle Earth Enterprises used to have, we're going to start seeing these games. And this is I guess it's just a Switch game. I didn't look it up. If it is, fine. If it's maybe it requires touch or something like that. I'm not. These are not my kind of games, right? And I would find it much more interesting to do more than just be in the Shire, because for me, always, like, we'll get that into the Barrow Downs, is like the character of Middle Earth, the entirety of Middle Earth has to come out. And so if they strip the hobbits of their courageousness, right? Meaning if it's just a sim game and all you're doing is like living life and spreading butter on bread and fishing and all that, like, you lose a large part of what makes hobbits unique in Middle Earth, is that, the smallest person is overcoming here, and they're not doing that at all in what they've shown us yet. So I'm judging it harshly, but I tend to do that with everything that I see at first glance.
I mean, look, this is Middle Earth Utopia, and then we just had a failure of a game that was Middle Earth Dystopia, which is, and so between those two, there should be some great games, but apparently they're not being made.
Well, here's to hoping that these hobbits will visit the Barrow Downs and experience real danger before succeeding with their own home.